welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are introducing our new set How You Bean Stars add-on, and this goes along with the original How You Bean set so that you can fill the jar with stars. We also have conversation hearts and candy corn to fill the jar with too. So let's go ahead and check this set out. First up, we have this really cute pile of stars, and then we have two individual stars in both an open and a solid style. And then we have some great sentiments. So we have Make a Wish, Happy Birthday, Many Congrats, You're a Star, May All Your Wishes Come True, Thanks, and then For Being My Shining Star to go along with that. We also have a cute little tiny star. I'm using my Copic markers to add some color to these fun images, and at first I'm just working with two markers, the Y32 and the Y35. You'll see that I laid down my lightest color first, and then I'm adding my darkest color and then blending it out with my lightest. I'm doing that because I find it easier to blend my two colors together when the paper is already wet by laying down that lightest color first. Now, when I started to look at this, I went, you know what, it doesn't really have the pizzazz that I wanted. So I thought if I added that Y38, it would kind of have more dimension and more shadow. And you can see there that I'm just adding the tiniest little bit of the Y38 and then blending it out with the Y35. And oh my goodness, it really just makes it pop. It gives it almost like a three-dimensional look. So just a little Y38, then Y35, and then Y32 to blend it out. And you can see just how nice that's looking. And it's really fun to just kind of look at the whole thing come to life just by adding those little shadows where those stars overlap. These are the coordinating dies for the set, which you can bend apart at the tabs or use your wire snips to separate. And you can take these dies and line them up with the stamped images, hold them in place with some low-tack tape, run it through your die cutting machine, and then you're going to have perfectly die-cut images to work with. So here you can see we've got the pile of stars and the two individual stars, and you can take that pile of stars and layer it inside the original How You Bean jar, which looks so cute. And then you can also take the individual stars and play with them in the jar too, which I really like the idea of them kind of just bouncing around in there. So now it's time to make my first card, and so I'm going to stamp out my jar, and then I'm going to stamp my stars directly in the jar this time. And then I'll use the coordinating die to just cut out the jar, and then add some fun rainbowy colors, and also some smiley faces. And those smiley faces are from the original How You Bean set. There's a bunch of different styles of smiley faces that work really, really well for these stars. I'm using Squeezed Lemonade Distress Oxide ink on some watercolor cardstock, and I'm going to start off of the paper and then bring the color on to kind of just add it nice and lightly. I'm going to have it to be a little bit darker towards the bottom, lighter towards the middle, and then I'm not going to add any color at the top, so it just sort of fades into nothing. Now I wanted to add some little kind of splatters on here, so I took some fossilized amber, which was just kind of like a darker yellowy orange, and I smeared it onto my block. I'm going to take my water here and just spray a little water in there and mix it up with my paintbrush, creating kind of this yellowy orangey paint. Then I'm going to flick it off the edge of the block with my paintbrush, and you'll see those little splatters that are happening. I love how they're of varying sizes and that it's kind of random and it looks really, really cool. Today I am recreating a card by Audrey, so thank you so much for this awesome card idea, Audrey, and for letting me use it in the video as well. So here you're going to see my Stitched Trails dies, and you'll see how we're going to use these with those cute little stars. But first I went ahead and used the same outside-in rectangle to die cut some really rainbow 6x6 pad paper, and then I just made a little mark as to how high I wanted it to be and then trimmed it off, and that's kind of the table for my jar there. Now here I've got my little stitch trail, and I'm going to line them up with those little stars so it almost looks like they're kind of flying towards going into the jar, if that makes sense. So I'll run that through, and what I love about the stitch trails dies is it just gives you that stitched detail. Now in this case, I wanted the little loop-de-loo kind of pointing in towards the card, but I only wanted to use half of the die. So we're going to do some partial die cutting right now. So here is my plate, and I'm going to line this card up with the edge right there where I want it to cut to. So I want it to cut to right there, so I'm going to line it up with my mat. Then I'm going to use some more Post-it note tape to just hold my paper right to the mat to hold that in the perfect position. I could put my top plate over that, run it through my die cut machine, and now you're going to see that it's only cut the part that was touching the plate. So we're just going to have the top part of this trail cut into our card, which is so cool. Then I'm going to use one more of the Stitch Trails dies to add the trail for the star right in the center there, and I think it's just looking awesome. So you'll see that I have everything down kind of as a placeholder for me so that I could do all my die cutting, but now I'm going to do my stamping. And so I'm going to use the Make-A-Wish sentiment, and I'm going to stamp that kind of right above the jar and in between all of those stars that are kind of trying to go into the jar. So you can see just how cute that little Make-A-Wish is. Then we'll go ahead and add some foam squares to our jar and to our star. So I'll add my little jar and then the stars right at the end of those cute little stitch trails. And oh my goodness, this card is just adorable. So then now I'm going to make a standard size card base. So that's 4¼ by 5½, and I'll add some adhesive to the back of my whole panel and layer that right onto my white card base. And here you're going to see just how cute this turned out. I love all of that stitch detail from the stitch rectangle and those trails as well, and those fun happy colors are just adorable. Now we're recreating a gorgeous card by Elena, so thank you so much, Elena, for letting us recreate this for the video. And she had this really cool sky where it was lighter in the center and darker towards the outside. So we've got tumbled glass, broken china, faded jeans, and chipped sapphire, and we went ahead with our tumbled glass and added all that light color to the middle. Then we're taking our broken china and going from the outsides in, but still leaving that middle nice and light. Then we'll do the same thing with our faded jeans, and then we'll go back in with the broken china and the tumbled glass to blend those all together. Then we're going to add our chipped sapphire to the edges as well to just kind of darken it up and then go back through all the colors once again to blend all of those edges. We're going to keep adding more and more color until it looks just perfect. Now we're going to spray some water in our hands and then flick that water on there. And that's a really, really cool look that gives you sometimes some kind of bigger splatters, which looks really, really cool for this fun kind of glowing night sky scene. We're going to dry it with our heat tool, and you can see all of that texture really developing as the ink reacts with the water. And then we're going to take our chamois here and we're just going to lay that on top as well, just kind of picking up some of that color and then drying it once again. Then to even it out just a little bit, we're going to add a little tumbled glass to the center again, just to make sure that those water spots aren't too white. So here we've stamped out some jars in the lid and we've had some stars there in the middle of the jar. And we're using the How You Bean shaker add-on dies because we're going to make a shaker out of this star jar. So I've cut the frame for the shaker and the base for the shaker, and we're just going to add a little light blue to that frame so that it coordinates with the one that we already colored there on the left. And then to create the shaker part, we're going to use that same frame die and we're going to cut out some fun foam. And this is that kids fun foam that you can find at your local craft store. And our fun foam was a little bit thin, so we decided to cut 2 pieces. And we layered each of those pieces with some Stick It adhesive. And that's a nice thin adhesive that you can layer on top of anything to make it into your own custom sticker. So you'll see we peeled off that Stick It adhesive and now we can layer the 2 foam pieces together, making it a higher height of foam so that our shaker pieces can really move in there. Then we went ahead with that base die piece and cut a piece of acetate, and we're going to layer that acetate window plastic piece to the back of our frame, helping us to create the shaker with this cute little window to kind of peer on the inside. Next, we'll layer our foam frame onto our jar base, and then I'm going to use a little powder tool here to just remove any excess stickiness that might be there from that Stick It that we added to the foam. That way our shaker pieces will move nice and freely and not get stuck to any of the sides. Then we're going to add some adhesive to the back of the main jar frame, and then add some cute tiny little stars, these little kind of tiny sequins that are just adorable, into our star jar, and I just love how that looks. Then we can layer our window frame piece on top, and now we have a really cute shaker. So we're going to take that piece that we created with the distress ink earlier, and we're going to layer that onto the card base. Then next we're going to add a little liquid glue right to the edge of the jar, and we're going to layer the jar lid there because we want it to look like someone just happened to open the jar and all of these stars flew out of it. So we'll do that, and then we're going to layer the jar with some glue, and then we've got a little foam square there on the back of the lid just to make everything lay nice and flat onto the card, and then some more foam squares on those stars that are escaping from the jar. We've die cut a wavy banner from the Shadow Box Ocean add-on from some paper bag cardstock, and now we're going to stamp in some sticky Versamark ink the Eurostar sentiment and add some white heat embossing powder to that, and then heat it up with our heat gun to have this nice shiny bright white sentiment. We're going to add some foam tape to the back of that banner and layer it onto our card, and then we can just cut off any excess. And I love the look of the wavy banner kind of coming into the jar as it opens and all the stars come out. Here we have some white Nuvo drops that we're layering onto the card, and then we're going to tap the back of the card just to kind of round those drops out so they're not so pointed, and you'll see how nice those are looking. And then the card is all done. It's so cute. I love how those stars shake inside, and that really cool sky is so awesome with the light in the middle and the dark on the outside. So here is a look at the 2-star cards that we created today, and they both make me so happy. I love the blues and yellows together, and I love the rainbow look too, which is so fun. And now we have some amazing cards by the design team, and this star jar card by Lynette is just adorable. I love the red, yellow, and blue together. I absolutely love how Shari piled all the stars up together to create this really cool scene for her little astronaut. And then this is the card by Elena that inspired us to make our card today. Oh my goodness, it's just stunning. And then this card by Lynette is so cute. I love the theme. It's perfect for 4th of July, which is coming up. And then I love how Kay used the stars outside of the jar, and the rainbow look that she has with all of those layered squares is just so adorable. And then I love how Lizzie stamped the solid star all over her card. It's just beautiful how they're darker at the top and lighter at the bottom. And then I love how Letitia stamped on a cloth bag and added it to a wine bottle for the perfect hostess gift. And this card by Elise is perfect for Dad and Father's Day. And then this card by Audrey is so cute and the one that inspired us to make our card today. So I cannot wait to see what you guys do with How You Bean Star add-on, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you so much for watching today and have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!